What does it say about the world's leading democracy when a foreign student becomes a symbol of repression instead of hope? That question now echoes through international courtrooms, human rights forums, and university campuses worldwide. Welcome to TVAI. Tonight, we delve into the international backlash surrounding the detention of Rümeysa Öztürk, a Turkish doctoral student at Tufts University, whose arrest by U.S. immigration authorities has sparked a global conversation about the state of civil liberties in America. Her story is no longer just about a student. It's about a nation's global standing and the uneasy tension between national security and universal human rights. Öztürk had come to the United States on a student visa to pursue a PhD in international relations. Known for her academic excellence and her advocacy for Palestinian human rights, she was considered a rising voice in global diplomacy circles. Her published articles, campus lectures, and appearances at international panels gained attention, not just for their scholarly depth, but for their moral clarity. But her voice, it appears, may have drawn the wrong kind of attention. On March 25, 2025, Öztürk was detained by federal agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, while on her way to a local iftar dinner. The arrest was abrupt, with masked agents in civilian clothing escorting her into an unmarked vehicle. No immediate charges were made public, and for hours, even her legal team didn't know where she had been taken. The silence from officials only fueled speculation and concern. Eventually, the Department of Homeland Security released a statement claiming that Öztürk's visa had been revoked based on suspicions of support for Hamas, a U.S.-designated terrorist organization. But to date, no public evidence has been produced to substantiate these claims. Human rights organizations, legal experts, and academic institutions have called the move a severe overstep, an action more aligned with authoritarian regimes than democratic governance. The response from the international community has been swift and damning. Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have condemned the arrest, calling it an attack on academic freedom and a breach of international norms regarding the treatment of foreign nationals. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Promotion and Protection of the Right to Freedom of Opinion and Expression issued a rare public rebuke, warning that such arrests risk undermining the credibility of democratic states. In Turkey, Öztürk's case has dominated headlines. Government officials have demanded her immediate release, and Turkish diplomats have accused the U.S. of hypocrisy. How can a country that lectures others about freedom detain a student over her political views? Asked one Turkish Foreign Ministry spokesperson. Turkish media has framed the case as emblematic of Western double standards, especially when it comes to Muslims and Middle Eastern nationals. But the critique isn't limited to adversarial governments. European Union officials have also raised questions about Öztürk's detention. In Brussels, members of the European Parliament held an emergency session to discuss academic freedom and immigration policy in the United States. We cannot remain silent when one of our own, a scholar, a student, is treated like a criminal without due process, said a German delegate. Beyond the halls of diplomacy, the case has galvanized the academic community. Universities from Canada to South Africa have issued statements of solidarity. An open letter signed by over 1,000 professors from around the world calls on the Biden administration to release Öztürk and re-evaluate ICE practices. The Association of American Universities has also voiced concern, warning that such actions could deter talented students from choosing the United States as a destination for higher education. The reputational damage is already visible. International applications to U.S. universities have reportedly declined in recent weeks, with several student associations citing Öztürk's case as a cautionary tale. If it can happen to her, it can happen to anyone, said a Nigerian student studying in Boston. The message is clear. Your ideas are welcome. but only if they don't challenge the system. Inside the United States, the arrest has intensified debate over the role of ICE and the militarization of immigration enforcement. Civil liberties groups argue that ICE has expanded far beyond its intended function, now operating with limited oversight and increasing politicization. ACLU attorneys have pointed out that the justification for Öztürk's detention echoes patterns seen in other controversial cases, where immigrants critical of U.S. policy face disproportionate scrutiny. Legal scholars are watching closely. If the U.S. government continues with deportation proceedings, it could establish a dangerous precedent. One where expressing political views deemed controversial is enough to invalidate one's legal right to remain in the country. This would conflict not only with constitutional protections, but also with the United States' obligations under international human rights law. And yet, the White House remains largely silent. A brief statement affirmed a commitment to due process, but offered no specific comments on Öztürk's case. Critics say this lack of clarity only deepens public confusion and international mistrust. Back in Boston, student-led protests have grown larger by the day. Tufts University has become the epicenter of a broader movement challenging the boundaries of political expression in academia. Across the country, similar rallies have erupted at other campuses: Harvard, Berkeley, NYU, all echoing the same call, #Free Rümeysa. What began as a localized outcry has evolved into a nationwide reckoning. The implications are enormous. In a globalized world, the United States depends on intellectual exchange, soft power, and international trust. By detaining a scholar without transparent legal justification, that trust is eroding. Human rights advocates worry that more such cases could follow, leading to a chilling effect on free speech and academic inquiry. At the center of all this is Rümeysa Öztürk, still held in ICE custody, far from her home, her university, and her research. For now, her voice has been forcibly quieted. But around the world, her story is being told, retold, and amplified. It serves as a mirror, reflecting the current state of American values on a global stage. The world is watching, and the question remains: will the United States uphold its image as a defender of freedom, or continue down a path that alienates the very voices that give it strength? Let us know what you think in the comments. Is this about protecting national security, or punishing political dissent? Stay with TVAI for more in-depth global coverage, where complex stories find clarity and truth meets perspective.